The new Disney Star Wars series, The Acolyte, appeared to quote Daily Wire host Dr. Jordan B. Peterson in a line from one of the show's villains in a recent episode. Screenwriters and a comic book author have seemingly used Peterson as a template for villains in the past, including in Olivia Wilde's Don't Worry, Darling, and in a Captain America comic. After episode 5 of The Acolyte dropped last week, using Peterson as the inspiration behind a story's bad guy appears to be a trend. The latest example of a villain appearing to quote Peterson was first reported by Looper last week. In the episode, Camille, played by Manny Jacinto, quote something said by Peterson in a 2022 interview nearly word for word. Even in the revelation of our triumph, we see the depth of our despair, Camille says at the end of the episode. On January 3rd, 2022, Peterson appeared on entrepreneur Stephen Bartlett's podcast, The Diary of a CEO, and said,
People come up to me and they often have a pretty rough story to relate. It's an awful thing because you see, even in the revelation of their triumph, the initial depth of their despair.
The Acolyte was roundly mocked just a few episodes into its first season, and after its showrunner laughed about people calling it the gayest Star Wars. In one episode, a character makes an effort to use they/them pronouns when referring to someone.
Who's that? Esposo. Is he or they with us?
The series sits at a 14% Rotten Tomatoes audience score, even though critics overall gave it a high rating of 83%. In 2021, leftist activist Ta-Nehisi Coates created a Nazi villain in his Captain America comic who espoused views that echoed the titles of some of Peterson's works. A year later, Wilde, the director of Don't Worry, Darling, revealed that the film's villain is based on Peterson, referring to the renowned psychologist as an insane man who is pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel is a popular abbreviation for the term involuntary celibate, referring to a man who is so unattractive, either physically or socially, that he can't attract a woman. Clearly not true in Peterson's case, who's been married to his wife Tammy for 33 years. They have 2 children, Michaela and Julian. I can hardly wait for the next iteration of Cinderella, when the evil stepmother says, "Clean your room."